Yo, Snackers, what's up? Pretzel there. It's Wednesday, the 17th of January, 2018, and this is Pretzels+Prints+Repeat. Let's talk... Wait. Okay, now let's talk about Overwatch. I'm assuming you know at least the basics of Overwatch. Came out a couple years ago. It's kind of like Paladins or Battleborn. Okay, it's by far one of the most popular entries in a genre of video games known as a hero shooter. Hero shooter. Maybe you've heard of the genre. You've definitely heard of the game. I love the genre. I love the game. I love hero shooters. I love Overwatch. And today kicks off the second week of the inaugural season of Overwatch League, or OWL. My team, Los Angeles Valiant. I've got their logo as my player icon. Yeah, look at that. Yeah. They aren't playing today, which means that I actually get time to produce this episode instead of needing to watch them kick butt. So with this time today, I can hopefully put some polish into this episode. They're playing tomorrow. They are against the New York Excelsior, one of the three other teams currently unbeaten so far. We're 1 week into the season. It's going to be an interesting game. Terence Soon Tarlier, he's my man. He's one of the best tracers in the game. He's not too shabby at Widowmaker either. I mean, look at that. But they are going up against Excelsior. Sebiobi of Excelsior. He's not only a rival Widowmaker in terms of skill, he has got an excellent counter tracer play. Still, I'm not too concerned on a macro level. I have full confidence in my boys of pulling this off. And so far this season, Valiant is the only team to have come out ahead each time, map-wise. They've got a 2-0 game score, but they've got a 7-0 map score. Nice. Excel's lost 2 maps out of the 8 they've played so far, so they're 2-0, 6-2. But enough geeking out about this and my own personal stake in basically the first sports I've cared about in my life. Just what is Overwatch League? Well, that's what I'm here to talk to you about. BlizzCon 2016, Blizzard announced their intention to turn Overwatch, which had at that point been out half a year, into a professional esport like Dota 2, StarCraft 2, or League of Legends. It makes sense, though the game was still relatively young, untested as an esport. Already in beta, there were ad hoc tournaments being formed. Now that the game was actually officially out, Blizzard would just be taking the reins of this in an official capacity. This esports league, however, was to have a twist. Generally, esports have been organized in a promotion and regulation system. A pre-made team comes together, competes, and they can get bumped up or down into various tiers depending on how well they do. But in OWL, teams are organized a lot like professional physical sports leagues. There's currently 12 teams, 2 regions of 6 teams each. Each team permanently on the league, officially organized as actual sports franchises. Contracts. Each player is signed on for 1 to 2 years. They've got set salary, they've got housing, healthcare, all provided. It legitimizes the idea of e-athleticism being an occupation. The rumor is that franchise fees to join the league are upward of $20 million franchise fee. It's quite the pretty penny, but there's still merchandising opportunities, etc., which, I mean, they do sell. This is intended to be a long-term real sports investment. I read an article on ESPN.com going over the details of each team, and the teams are owned by, entrepreneurs, celebrities, rich, fancy pants people, like real sports teams apparently are real, in scare quotes, of course. So we're intentionally getting that whole vibe from it. There are, like I said, 6 teams per division, Atlantic and Pacific, 2 divisions. Most teams hail from the States, 1 team from the Atlantic Division, and 2 teams from the Pacific Division. They're based abroad. Teams may be based in these cities, but the players themselves are multinational. London Spitfire, the New York Excelsior, Seoul Dynasty, of course, their makeup is entirely Korean. Shanghai Dragon, that's all Chinese, of course. They're all multinational teams, but they are all male as yet here in the inaugural season, and I'll explain some of the controversy over that later. Now teams compete divisionally and cross-divisionally equally, but division still matters for reasons I'll also explain later. The gameplay of the league takes place in 4 stages. Each stage lasts 5 weeks, 3 matches a day, 4 days a week, each team playing twice a week. Doing the math, that means during each stage, each team will be playing against 10 of the 11 other teams in the league. Each match takes place in 4 or 5 rounds, depending. Best 3 out of 5 wins, so if at the end of 4 rounds the teams are tied 2-2, that's what happened several times in the preseason week, but only once so far in the regular season. They're taken to Lijiang Tower for best 2 out of 3 control map overtime. The rounds are played out on maps all previously announced and predetermined, so like everything's set at the start and you know what's coming. Round 1 are escort maps like Junkertown and Dorado. Round 2 takes place on assault maps like Horizon Lunar Colony or Anubis. Round 3, control maps like Ilios or Oasis. Round 4 are hybrid games like Numbani or Eichenwald. Each objective is worth 1 point, and rounds are played out until point majority is achieved by one team or another, after everybody's gotten a chance of either attacking or defending, so, you know, makes it even. Now I said best 3 out of 5, but even at the end of 3 rounds, if one team is beaten another 3-0, the 4th game is still played out in order for map score stuff. That comes into play later. At the end of each stage, the top 3 teams engage in a seeded title match. The outcomes of these matches don't count toward full season record, but is an additional area to score some bragging rights and cash prizes. I'm not sure what the top 3 teams means. Top 3 teams engaged in this match. I think it means the number 1 seed plays back-to-back against numbers 2 and 3, but I can't find any confirmation of this. Maybe I'm just a sports moob and it should be obvious. Yeah, we'll find out at the end of stage 1. But at the end of all 4 stages and all 4 stage titles, OWL moves into the postseason, and this is where things get real. Only 6 teams out of the league's 12 get to move on to the postseason championship. This is where division becomes important, like I mentioned earlier it would. The top team of each division gets an automatic bye into the championship. The other 4 who get in are the top 4 of the remaining teams, regardless of division. In other words, if it so happens that all 6 Atlantic Division teams come out on top, there's still going to be a Pacific Division team in the postseason, no matter what, like 7th place getting in on a bye when number 6 doesn't make it in. That's a ridiculous example, but, it's just for illustration purposes. Okay, if you've made it into the postseason, congratulations, your team is now the proud owner of at least $50,000 once you reach the end of it. That's the 5th and 6th place championship prize. You don't want just that. If your team makes it all the way to the top, of course, there's $1 million in the bank there for you. That's $3.5 million in total cash prizes throughout the league, handed out by Blizzard themselves, I guess. That's about as good as divisions are this season. That's as far as they go. But in the future, they're planning on expanding OWL, so teams get their own stadia each. Each get their own stadium. Everybody, there's a bunch of stadia. And you'll have to travel around to play against other teams, I guess. Once again, creating this physical sports vibe. As it is right now, the season they all play is conducted in this gorgeous state-of-the-art Blizzard Arena in Burbank. It's a converted version of the very studio that Johnny Carson called his stomping ground on The Tonight Show, actually. It's got 11 feet high LED screens, man. So yeah, that's the future. Also, hopefully in the future, we'll actually see, any women, at all. Okay, I got into Overwatch first because of Overworld. Dan Wells' Mirador books have a fictional esport, Overworld, a virtual reality experience that combines the hero shooter genre with MOBA elements and infinite character customization. In Overworld, the protagonist team of the book's Cherry Dogs, they're entirely female, and the climax of the second book involves playing against another team in a championship which enemy team also happens to be all female. And that isn't unusual in this future, but like the Old Spice commercials, look back at our man, it's all men. I mean, it is possible that we could smell like this. Weird analogy, sorry. Best Zarya player in the world, Gaguri. Kim, so good she has to prove that she didn't use an aimbot. Si-yeon did play for UW Artisan in South Korea's Apex League on that team. So it is possible to have females on a team, obviously. But now that league is disbanded, no team on OWL, at least this season, seems bent on hiring her anytime soon. I mean, I could do a whole episode on this. The fact that this is an issue, I'm not sure. For now, the whole thing just kind of reminds me of that phrase, mamehela patanapai. Mamehela pinatapai. Yeah, somebody's got to buckle down and hire her because she is the best. And I don't know, I don't think it would be a PR stunt. Anyway, well, that's the episode. Thanks for watching, I guess.